أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين إنه خير ناصر ومعين. Today is 24th of July 2012 and we start our first session of during the Ramadan. The topic is Man arafa nafsa faqad arafa rabbah, or knowing the nafs. Just tell me one thing. Did I tell you last week about Henry Corbin? Did I? Henry Corbin.
You mentioned the name.
They mentioned the name that he has been. He was studying with Louis Massignon and this and Allamah Tabatabaei meeting. Never mind. I just didn't remember. Yeah, remember. Okay. Nevertheless. Now, why I remember that, I will tell you. So, or now that Ali has become very inquisitive, let me tell you about it first.
He knows what you are thinking.
Sorry?
He knows what you're thinking.
So, okay. Anyway, the point about Henry Corbin. Henry Corbin was one of the philosophers of West who was often meeting with Marhum Allamah Tabatabaei. And why I remembered him, because I was a couple of nights ago, I was listening to Dr. Dinani in Tehran. And then I'm quoting him saying, Dr. Dinani was the only person who was present during the meetings of Allamah Tabatabaei and Henry Corbin. I don't know, maybe as translator, but he was very close student of Allamah Tabatabaei. The reason that I wanted to mention that is to see and to show how people who get to know a little bit of reality, how they become so much interested and they get so much dragged into haqa'iq and realities of Shias. This Henry Corbin has been in his younghood. He's passed away a few years ago, very, very recently. He was being a student of many philosophers of West, from this Louis Massignon, as I just said, and the very recent one, I've just forgotten the name he mentioned, I can't remember. But nevertheless, when he reaches to Louis Massignon was also a teacher of Dr. Shariati Marhum in Sorbonne University in France. He comes close to know about Falsafe Ishraq of Suhrawardi. Ishraq and Mashah, I've told you very early days, there's what is philosophy of Mashah, philosophy of Ishraq, and Suhrawardi was the founder of philosophy of Ishraq in Iran, and he followed Aflatun or Plato, and nevertheless, I don't go into that, leave that behind. Then he fall in love with the concept of Allamah Misal, this Henry Corbin. When he heard Allamah Misal of Suhrawardi, or we call him in Iran Sheikh Ishraq, he fall in love with the concept, and he so much liked it. And then from there he became more interested in Islamic philosophy, and then he got to know Mullah Sadra, and then he got to know Avicenna, and gradually he came to know Allamah Tabatabaei. Is there anything happening? He came to know Allamah Tabatabaei. And then when he used to go to Iran and meet with Allamah Tabatabaei, Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
He used to ask, before he becomes a Shia, he used to ask Allamah that when you want to do dua with God, what type of du'as do you use? And he says that Allamah Tabatabaei tells him about different types of dua. He says, Henry Corbin, at Christianity, before he becomes a Muslim, he says, I use your dua of Imam Zaman of Shias when I go to church to do dua, to talk to God. So the thing I'm referring to, what I want to bring to our own knowledge, our own attention, is that people who have come to know haqa'iq of Shia, they have really become so interested that all their life they have been into it, and he died as a Muslim as well. So we have, inshallah, to put our efforts to understand and learn more of this Maaref of Ahlulbayt alayhim as-salam. Nevertheless, to understand this, we need to deepen ourselves. We have to deepen ourselves. Unless our own wujud becomes deeper, there is not any way for us to understand and learn the depths of Quran, the depths of du'as, the depths of ziyarats. And to do this, there are very important things that we have to remember, so that we are able to enter to this wadi, to this land of soul or nafs. Remember, as last week I said, فَمَنْ عَرَفَ نَفْسَ فَقَدْ عَرَفَ رَبَّهُ. Then I gave you a little bit of talk about it, but I did not talk too much. And I said, عَرَفَ نَفْسَ, that here refers, one is to God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to refers to the nafs of yourself. مَنْ عَرَفَ نَفْسَ, whoever knows himself, فَقَدْ عَرَفَ رَبَّهُ. Right? So, and I said there is another interpretation of it which we are going to go through this. وَمَنْ عَرَفَ نَفْسَهُ, whoever knows his nafs is the nafs of ma'soom, nafs of insan kamil, perfect human. He will know Rabbah, he will know his God. And of course, in our previous time past, I don't remember when, I was spoken about Rabb and Rabb Mughayyad and Rabb Mutlaq, and you possibly remember. If you don't, my apologies, I cannot say about it tonight. But whoever gets to know Insan Kamil, perfect human, he will get to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How to do that? I said we have to start from the first manzil in the solook, in the wayfaring. What was the first manzil? The first manzil? No, the first manzil, no, that's a different thing. I've said it, no. The first manzil, I said it in the last couple of sessions, manzil of haywaniyat. The whole issue is, unless one is able to step up from a state of haywaniyat, haywaniyat means animal, being a state of animal. Unless we are able to get out of a state of animal, we are not able to walk into the wadi, to the land of nafs. Because I know almost none of you, with my, probably with a little bit of exception of, a little bit of knowledge you have, you still don't know what really nafs is. Whenever I say nafs, you think of I. Fair enough, that's fine. But what the nafs is, we have not spoken before about it. So to get to the territory of nafs, we have to get out of the territory of animal being. So, and that takes a lot of effort, and it's the whole. See, Imam Khomeini rahmatullah says, all these things that we have heard about heaven, paradise, all the good things about paradise, you read in Quran. It's not about nafs. That's not the paradise of nafs yet. Right? What is that paradise that is in Quran is so much spoken about, Agha Muhammad? Is all the paradise which is so much spoken about it in Quran, in ahadith, in talks of Ahlulbayt, that's not paradise of nafs. That's paradise of a'mal. No, that's paradise of our a'mal. A'mal is not to do with nafs. So only places that paradise of nafs is spoken is where the is spoken about Behisht al-Liqa, Jannatul Liqa. Jannatul Liqa is Behisht of nafs, is paradise of nafs. Liqa means meeting, visiting, right? So unless we are able to, we might die and go to Jannat as well, but we won't get into the Jannat of nafs. Jannat of nafs is a different Jannat, so altogether. So one of the techniques, which is very difficult, I tell you, one of the techniques or one of the things that we have to learn or in our starting, so that we get to know about the nafs, is we have to live in the moment. If you look at all of you, including myself and everyone else who is listening, who is hearing me, we are either always, most of the times, living in the past or in the future. See how long of your time in the whole 24 hours is spent on the now, present time. I can tell you myself almost close to nil. So either I'm remembering the past pleasures, past pains, past occasions, or I have closed my eyes, I'm dreaming about the future pleasures, future occasions that I want to create. So it is very important that we have to, of course, if you ask me how, then, and if I show you the technique, you have to go and come back 15 years and tell me where you have got to. It's a long life work. It's not something that you can do it one day, 1 week, 1 month. Of course, I tell you about it, what it is. But nevertheless, you have to be able to come from the past and also come out from the future. What are those things which are with us from the past? See, whenever we talk, it's very interesting. From the past is always the sense, 5 senses, pleasure of 5 senses, khiyal or imagination, and wahm, right? But if you go to intellect and Maaref, there is no past and present about it. It's all past and future, but it's all present. When it's about knowledge, you do not feel any time. Do you feel any time in that? So the moment you get into the realm of intellect or realm of aql, the whole thing becomes present, becomes now. There's no past or future about it. But other than that, which I think very few of us, and those few of us, very few minutes of our time is passed it is spent in the present time. And that is when we are with Maaref. We're always remembering. Let me take a step back to explain this further. If you were those who were in the MNC4, you remember I spoke about Soware Mahsuse, yeah? I said we have got different in idrakat or perceptions and understanding. Sensual perceptions, you remember that? Imaginal perceptions, intellectual perceptions, and ultra-intellectual perceptions, right? And I said the reality, if you remember this, if you don't remember, so because you have been always in the past, or you have been in the future, otherwise you have to remember. If you remember, I said, in the topic of aql, I have said that we are always, our faculty of khiyal is all the time relaying the form, different sensual forms from outside to inside. Do you remember that? Do you? You may not, because you have not been present in all those topics. So, and then we concluded and we proved that the reality of human being is nothing other than all those perceptive, sensual, imaginal, and intellectual forms that relates from outside to inside of it. That's the reality of us. When we die, anything else left from body? No. Where do we go? Wherever we go, what remains from us is all these sovar, all these forms which has come from us, from outside to inside. So basically, the problem with us is we are all the time. You remember that also the issue of ilm and knowledge was ittihad, a union of those sovar, those forms with our nafs. I don't know if I don't see in your face that I'm clicking anything from the back. Yes? No. I told you don't be in the past, but for this be in the past so that you remember. Yeah. So this is specifically only for this, please be in the past so that you can remember and come back again to present. No. That's not muttasil. So what I was saying those days, I was telling you that salawat
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
that ilm and knowledge, knowing about something, either in sensual form or imaginal form or intellectual form, is the union of that form with our nafs. And I said that is why when you close your eyes, you still see me, you still remember my face. When you close your eyes, you still remember my voice. When you close your eyes, you can still remember the taste of a mango, right? Or you can remember the smell of a gol Muhammadi or whatever, rose flower. That is because those forms, sensual forms, have become united with your nafs. Correct? Now, there is a paradox and problem here. Although we have got all these present in our nafs, we still should not live in the past. But our reality has become them. So that means they have to become present. They should not be something of the past. We should not close our eyes. And this is basically, most of the time of the human being is spent on this. Remembering those imagery forms, those listening forms, those taste forms, those hearing forms, and all those things, remembering them and then reproducing them in ourselves and enjoying from that reproduction. And what does that lead? So that leads from the past to the future. What do we do? We want to reproduce the same thing for the future. If I've eaten a nice kebab last night for iftar, then I go home and ask my wife, please, tomorrow make another kebab. Because I want to reproduce the good things of the past for my future pleasure. This goes for everything. So my point here is, unless we are able to live in the present, it will be difficult for us to get into the wadi of nafs. So it's a practice, it's an issue of practice. For the future, of course, it's very easy. It's not always, the future is not always related to the past. A lot of times it's not because I've had that memory. It is what I see in the hands of the other people, which I've never had it. But it becomes my future. That means I close my eyes and I dream about it. I dream to have a big house. I dream to have a nice car. I dream to have a lot of money in my bank account. So this becomes, you're always in the future. You see tell me, no, don't tell me, sorry. Tell yourself, go make a note of it for yourself and see how many minutes of a day you are in the present time. And you're not either dreaming about the future or you're not in the past pleasures. So how to do that? Of course, one of the techniques, and very important techniques of this, is meditation. So when I say meditation, do not immediately refer to Buddhists. Don't think this is something only about the Buddhists. Meditation, what was the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. What was he doing when he was going to cave of Hira for the 25 years? Meditation means thinking. He was in a state of concentration and focusing, and right. I don't think, or ever, God forbid, if I ever think that he was spending his time in cave of Hira and thinking of the past, what a good times he has had, or what a bad pains he has had, or what a good future he can make. He might have, and he must have, as thinking about the future of the Muslim world or Islam, what to do next. But at all times he was connected. So for him that was not future, for him that was present. So, or ever whatever he would have remembered from the past, it would have been present for him. They were all at present time for him. So, if anyone wants to get into that, the practice of it is, of course, it is recommended and prescribed for early mornings, focusing, concentration. And I remember Marhum Agha Najabat, many years ago, the first thing, or one of the things he taught me to do, was before Fajr to write the word Allah and put it in front of me and try to focus on that word and try not to let my khiyal goes anywhere. You come back to me. I give you 1 year to come back to me that you tell me you have been able to do it for 5 minutes. Okay? So that means you will see how thief, you know thief? Is your obey khiyal. It does not allow you more than 5 seconds to stay on anything. It will take you here and there. It's amazing. It's really one of those amazing things about khiyal. Khiyal can be a source of goodness, and of course is a source of horrible things. It's the shaitan usually very much control the khiyal and plays up with it. So nevertheless, for us to be able, I just told you about one of the important things. There is really, if someone mastered this issue, I don't really master this issue myself, that who can tell you how important is not to live in the past, not to live in the future, and try to be in the present, and always everything to be present. And in dua Ziyarat al-Yasin, where is that part? I wrote it not to forget it. That when we say Assalamu alayka fi ana laylika wa atraf naharik, means Assalamu alayka, Assalam, oh salam to you for all your day and at all your night. For Imam, it is always present. So when you are giving salam to an state of Imam, which he is always present and connected. For him, you are not giving salam to the past of Imam or future of Imam. For him, is all one, and for him is all present and is all connection to Allah subhanahu wa taala. So
it's disconnected from everyone.
okay, do you want to connect it back?
Yeah, I think.
That's when we have too many Skypers.
How many do you have?
6. That's the maximum load of Skype. You're all back?
Not yet. Muhammad about MIS. Pass, not yet. I think you can proceed.
Yeah?
You can proceed.
Okay. Get to know how much I was spoken. Oopsie. So, salawat. Imam Khomeini rahmatullah says to make the first move, you have to move out of what he calls Aqalim Sab'eh. Aqalim Sab'eh means the 7 territories. The 7 territories. You have to move out of the 7 territories. What are these 7 territories? They're all material related. 7 territories are, of course, it can be referred to as senses, all the 5 senses, as well as khiyal and wahy. But it can also be referred to, when it comes to 5 senses, refer to this, you can say, it's about hands, foot, tongue, eyes, ears, belly, which is eating, and sexual desires. So these are also called the seven territories. He says, unless the person is able to move out of these 7 territories, which I take this to be the main thing, the 7th, I said it's not, khiyal is a different thing. So the 7 territories of arz, 7 territories which relates to very much this material world, because khiyal it also is somehow out of material world. It's not completely material. So he says, unless we are able to move out from the 7 territories, we are not able to know about nafs. Okay, we may learn some ma'ani and mafahim and meanings, but knowing is a different thing. To get the knowledge of it needs the person to have moved away from these 7 territories. And he says, in this in these 7 territories or aghalim, in these territories or aghalim sab'eh,
Please mute your mic, please, Wasif.
What is Vahu?
I try to find the English word for it.
Wasif, please mute your mic.
Okay, while you say it, Vam is something, it looks like khiyal to a lot of people, but it's not khiyal. Vam is the lowered aql. What does it mean? What does, in the alam Vam, okay, let me tell you, let me answer this question. In alam khiyal, we have image. In alam aql, we don't have image, we have only meaning, correct? In alam wahm, we also have only meaning, no image. But the difference of wahm and aql is universal. When in alam aql you say, for instance, pen, you are referring to pen as a pen. In any pen can be included. But in the alam wahm, when you say pen, you're talking about a particular pen. The meaning that refers to that very particular thing. That's alam wahm. So alam wahm is up the level that up to which shaitan can come, but shaitan cannot enter the alam aql. And yeah, I know this was not enough, but you have to
I've heard about it.
you have heard about it. Okay, fair enough. They call alam wahm also aql saqit, means descended aql. So it's a very lower levels of alam aql because there is no imagery there. It's to do with the meaning. So Imam Khomeini says, if we are not able to go out of these aghalim sab'eh or 7 territories, what happens, we keep creating animals for ourselves or creatures for ourselves in this awalim, in this aghalim, which they are going to live with us for the hereafter all along. So when we are in this aghalim sab'eh, which is with us at the moment, if everything that we create is made from them, Masalan, when it comes to anger, especially, for instance, in terms of animals, when it comes to anger, and the person keeps exercising this anger on the people, gradually he creates a lot of wild animals within his nafs. When he dies, he has to live with the animals that he has created himself. So it's amazing. We can't even imagine how different it is. Animals, an external animal and internal animal. Internal animal is animal which is created by yourself. So it doesn't leave you for a second even. So Imam Khomeini says, if you go with these creatures that you have created from these shahawat, from desires, with your foot and hand and tongue and ears and all of this, the creatures of these are going to live with us for the hereafter. And then we will have, we cannot even imagine what type of life it is. So to go out of this, to put our first step into alam nafs, is we have to move up from this. And to move up from this, once you put the first step to the alam nafs, that is where you can drag your head and look around, see whether there is a smell of insan kamil there. Insanic territory of Insanic Kamil is not the territory of Aghalim Sab'eh, these seven lands or 7 territories. So unless we are able to move up a little bit towards Alam Nafs, we are not able to even smell Imam. Okay, we might think and we might believe we know Imam. I have heard people thinking, or it comes to anyone's mind, that no, Alhamdulillah, with all these Maaref, I know Imam, so much of Imam Zaman alayhi salam, for instance. But no, yes, of course we get to get a little bit of meaning and understanding about the concept, but a proper understanding which can make a connection between us and Imam, that needs that we have dissociated ourselves, that we have been able to dissociate and put our food in Allamah. I don't think I cannot continue like this. But Muhammad wa al Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa al Muhammad.